Okay. Ready? Okay, we're going to call the meeting to order. Thank you all for being here and the ones that are online. With that, we need an approval of the TAC agenda for the 22nd. Motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Approval of the minutes of April 27th. Any questions or changes? Not.
Make a motion to approve.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion. I'll second. So we had a motion and a second to approve the TAC minutes of the 27th. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, motion carries. Director's report.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, members of the Technical Advisory Committee. We have a few reports to report to you, but before that, you all know there are three documents that all MPOs are developing. One is Transportation Improvement Program, and one is Metropolitan Transportation Plan and Unified Planning Work Program. So fortunately, we have all three today in reports and some studies like household travel surveys that we're going to update besides our existing studies that's happening. So thank you for making today, despite Friday was a holiday. So with that, we have Nick updating on the TIP projects, which will be seeking your approval in a couple of months. So he'll give you, what's happening before we seek your approval in a couple of months. So Nick, thank you.
First, the bi-monthly project statuses. For those who may be new, according to our TIP policy, we have a reasonable progress policy under which we report to the TAC and the TPB every 2 months on projects with suballocated funding programmed for this year, as well as projects from past years that have not yet completed that had suballocated funding. The point of this is to make sure that funds get obligated in the federal fiscal year in which they are supposed to get obligated, and then that the projects that have been obligated use those funds in the time frame when they are supposed to. You have this table on page 11 of your packets with all the projects that fit the description I just gave. The ones in yellow at the top are the ones for the current year. They include Butler County project, Southwest Butler Road improvements from Southwest 170th Street to Southwest 155th Street. It let last year, but it has an advanced construction conversion scheduled for this year that has not yet happened. Another project from last year that has let, but has advanced construction conversion scheduled for this year that has not yet happened, meaning there's still an obligation to come, is in Wichita. The Wichita Intelligent Transportation Systems East 21st Street North project. New projects for the current year that have not yet obligated are in Derby, the Rock Road Corridor Improvements projects set to obligate in August, let in September. In Wichita, Redbud Multi-Use Path near Rock Road Phase 2, that being the bridge over Rock Road. Currently expected to obligate in June and let in July. And in Park City, 85th Street and Broadway roundabout, expected to obligate in August and let in September. And all three of those are anticipated to be completed in 2027. On page 12 of your packets, there is a map of all of those suballocated projects. And back on page 11, we also have a table of 2026 non-suballocated projects programmed to receive funding in the TIP. You can review that at your leisure. Going on to a more interesting topic, the new tip. It is currently in its public comment period for the 2027 to 2030 tip. We had our call for projects from February 2nd to March 6th this year. Then our project selection committee met on March 30th to make recommendations for suballocated funding awards that went to the TAC on April 27th and the TPB on May 12th, where the awards were approved. Meanwhile, the rest of the TIP document was prepared, including getting project information from project sponsors for all of the projects not using suballocated funding. That includes both regionally significant projects with only state or local funding, as well as any project that has federal funding of any kind that is not in one of the suballocated categories. And we are now in the public comment period, June 17th through July 16th. Comments are invited. Then it will go to the TAC on July 27th for a recommendation, and the TPB hopefully for final approval on August 11th, all before the start of the 2027 federal fiscal year. Any questions on the TIP? You will, of course, get more information next month when this is presented for your recommendation, and you can go on to our website to see the draft TIP and make whatever public comment you want.
All right. Any questions for Nick? Okay. Thank you, Nick. And so, any other reports? Next, we have Marky with Metropolitan Transportation Plan and Unified Planning Work Program updates. Marky, thanks.
Good morning. Yes, I just have some brief updates. The first is, since it has been about a year since the adoption of Metropolitan Transportation Plan 2050 or MTP 2050, we thought we would just give a brief refresher of the contents of the document and why we have it. So MPOs, like WAMPO, we are responsible for developing a long-range metropolitan transportation plan with a minimum planning horizon of 20 years, and those are updated every 5 years. So this plan, MTP 2050, is, of course, a 25-year horizon, and that was approved by the Transportation Policy Body in May of last year. The document sets priorities for transportation, including safety, reliable travel times, managing environmental and economic impacts, and improving connectivity for all modes of travel. And then it lists projects to potentially be able to utilize available funding in future years. And this document is a lot of data, regional trends, a lot goes into it, and a lot is really looked at to evaluate the current and then potential future needs of the system. I won't read you all of this, but this is just a list of these chapters and appendices of the document. I do invite you to please feel free to always take a look. These are available on our website. We also are happy to provide print copies. There really is a lot of data and information within this document. We'll see if this plays, but Peter made a cool video animation of this. So the MTP 2050 fiscally constrained project list includes 147 regional transportation projects, and it represents more than $2.77 billion in investment in the regional transportation system under a fiscally constrained scenario, meaning that the amount of the project costs do not exceed the projected revenues. And most of these projects are specific improvements, but we also have category projects for things like bridge projects, ITS projects, bicycle and pedestrian projects that may pop up that are harder to identify so many years in advance. Anyway, that's kind of my MTP update. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you, Marky. Next, UPWP.
Yes, and then as Chad mentioned, another one of our core documents is the Unified Planning Work Program. This is one of those documents that we develop every year. And as we start the process of development for 2027, we thought we'd kind of introduce it ahead of time and give a refresher of what that consists of as well. This document describes the planning work that staff and consultants will undertake during that calendar year. And the funding comes from our Consolidated Planning Grant Funds, which is the MPO operating funds, and that's 80% of that federal match and then the 20% local match. And this document serves many purposes. It's often referred to as the budget, but it really is a lot more than that. It does outline all of the work tasks that we plan on doing, the timeline for those, and then all of those activities that fall within each of those tasks as well. It's really intended to guide the planning process, both for WAMPO and our planning partners, to carry out those processes. And this is one of our federally required documents. And I'm sure this is not the easiest to read, but we thought we would just give you some dates ahead of time. We had our first meeting with our planning partners last week. So that's with KDOT, FHWA, FTA, and Wichita Transit to go over some of our priorities for next year. And then we are working on developing the document now that we've met with them to discuss. And then we plan on bringing this body some more information at the next meeting on July 27th, and then the same for the Transportation Policy Body on August 11th. And then that will be followed by a state and federal review period and then the public comment period. And then we anticipate bringing the completed draft document to the TAC for recommendation and the TBB for approval in October and November. Does anyone have any questions about the UPWP?
Thank you, Marky. Just to note, as Marky said, October and November is when we'll seek your approval. That's all the main thing is, but I applaud staff and Marky as well, how much ahead of the time you begin in collaboration with Federal Highway Administration staff and KDOT staff and so on. It's month of June, but still staff is always ahead of the schedule on doing things. So that's all, Marky.
Thank you.
Okay, next, Mr. Chair, we have a few miscellaneous items related to activities like transit coordination and annual bicycle and pedestrian counts.
Good morning. On March 10th, the TPB approved the formation of the Regional Transit Coordination Committee. And the goal of this is to get these people together to talk about their challenges, their opportunities, and give updates in their jurisdictions. And then we're also going to look at the Regional Transit Implementation Plan, which was made last year. The first meeting is July 1st, which is next Wednesday at 10:30. And there's a minor change in the roster, but otherwise everything is up to date. And I'm excited for the first meeting. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Laura. Thanks, Kim.
Excited to finally get that coordination, the regional transit going. That's awesome. Good morning, TAC members and partners. Of course, it's that time of year again that we have the annual bicycle and pedestrian count. That wants to. Okay. There we go. Marky's taught me her trick finally after 2 years. So this year's bike ped count will be held on September 16th, 17th, and then 19th, because we try to hit a Saturday as well. This year, the counts will be conducted again with volunteers going out to those sites for all 3 of those days, for various times during those days, and doing a manual count. But we will also be using the MyoVision cameras, which were purchased back in 2024. So we'll be taking a little bit of a hybrid approach. Last year, we used the cameras and had Peter's group kind of look at the data and ensure that there were consistencies among the counts, and they were very close. So we will be doing a hybrid approach so that we can get more locations, more count data. So we'll start doing volunteer recruitment in next month in July. So you'll see that on our website, and I'm sure I'll be sending you emails to ask for your help in recruiting volunteers in your jurisdiction. Additional count data, as I mentioned, is already being collected with the MyoVision cameras. So we have the city of Wichita, we have city of Hayesville, and we have Sedgwick County who helped purchase those cameras. And they have been utilizing them to collect data. Really any good good weather times of the year. So this is really exciting because this is allowing us to collect more data, look more at the travel patterns. I mean, we can look at safety issues, the utilization of helmets, other things that we can't collect often with volunteers. So very excited, in addition to maybe doing some night counts and stuff. So the cameras are very useful and have been extremely valuable, I believe. So I'll be reaching out soon to start recruiting volunteers. So any questions on the annual bike ped count?
Thanks, Kim.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. And Mr. Chair, finally, we have household travel surveys and active transportation plan status from Peter. Peter, thank you.
Good morning. Not too much to update other than at their June 9 TPP meeting, 2 separate contracts were approved. One for RDG Planning and Design to develop a regional active transportation plan that'll run from June all the way to June 30, 2027 for an amount not to exceed about $200,000. And then also ETC Institute has been approved for a contract to conduct a regional household travel survey. That contract will run from June all the way through December 31, 2028. We don't anticipate it lasting quite that long, but that is the official time that we have to get it done per the contract and get everything wrapped up. Very excited to present this to you. We'll be reaching out for your input on both of these projects. If we work together, I'm hoping we can make these both very, very successful initiatives.
Thank you, Peter. If you stay on this slide for a moment, let me share to the members how much we are spending on household travel surveys, like about close to $900,000. The end product in a couple of years will be like, what are the travel patterns in our region? Like, the mode share and what percentage of trips are work-related trips, what percentage of trips are non-work related, and many other statistics will be developed, which Federal Highway Administration monitor from region to region to allocate certain funding and so on. More importantly, I would like to, Peter and I would like to ask you that both it should be successful to each jurisdiction, to region, as well as the consulting firm who is coming on board to have a successful completion of the project, like having a robust data on how the travel patterns are captured in our region. So, Peter, I wanted to reach out to you. Once the consulting firm is on board, we will invite them to present to you what is their game plan, what is the schedule on how they go on to TV and social media, and then obtain these surveys from residents and so on. So that's one. And the second is active transportation plan for the region. City of Wichita already has completed most recently active transportation plan, but having the regional connections from all jurisdictions around, having that regional plan. And we also anticipate to prepare a map of like 4 feet by 6 feet map of entire trails and sidewalks and so on as part of the project. So that map to be more accurate, we also need all of us to, double check and be sure we're not missing any, the linkages or the gaps, identifying the gaps and the future connections and so on. So we are excited about these because we are spending the dollar amount on this. We want to be sure everyone is involved and everybody's benefited, and then we make the project successful. So thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
Mr. Chair, thank you.
All right, public comment, anybody here or online wants to address us this time? If not, moving on, Wichita Transit update, Penny?
Good morning, Penny Feist, Director of Wichita Transit. Thank you for the invitation. Here today to provide you a brief update. We'll start with just a very high-level overview. Wichita Transit operates with 50 fixed buses, 11 of which are electric, 38 paratransit vans. The department has 141 full-time staff. We recently opened our new facility on June 6th at 207 South Sycamore, right next to Equity Bank Park. It is our park and ride facility. And our administrative offices are at 777 East Waterman. Last year's ridership exceeded 1 million rides. That's an average year for Wichita Transit ever since we recovered from COVID. 75,000 trips for paratransit and 120,000 micromobility trips, which are the electric scooters that you'll see downtown and the bike share. Here is a funding overview for Wichita Transit. We rely heavily on federal funds. These are 5307 funds, which you'll see in the tip. And then we receive about $3.5 million from the City of Wichita General Fund, and overall a close to equal amount, $3.5 million in local revenues, which is from fare revenue, people buying a pass to ride, or partnership revenue. Here are our local expenditures, which you'll see are primarily for salaries. We try to maximize our grants, obviously. Most grants require a local match from 20 to 50%. And in the long-term sustainability, the fund overspends about $1 million each year. So we have to use reserves in order to keep it sustainable. That has also been consistent since COVID recovery. And then fare box recovery, how much of our expenses are actually recovered from the fare box? It's about 9%. Here are some survey results. On the left, this is from the National Community Survey, which the City of Wichita conducts every year. That's a poll of all Wichitans. And then on the right is a rider survey. Either public transportation is about 18%, don't have my readers on. Bus or transit service is about 24%. And then last year, only about 9% of people used the Q line or the bus. And we do see some trends changing as far as carpooling, people who are traveling with more than just themselves, as well as walking or biking. The riders score as highest for safety, both of the drivers and the buses in general. 71% say the buses go where I want them to go, and only 59% say the operating hours meet their needs. And the bus stops are something that we also hear a lot about as far as being comfortable. As I mentioned, we've just transitioned to the Hub Multimodal Center, which requires us to change our route design a little bit to accommodate that new hub, which is the hub of the hub and spoke model that Wichita runs. So we had to conduct a technical analysis and also receive community input. All phases are now complete with the transition, and this started way back in 2023 as far as the route redesign goes. Hopefully you've had a chance to at least see the hub, and please park there. But you'll see the top right is the old transit center next to Trust Bank Arena, and the bottom left is a park and ride facility next to Equity Bank Park. It offers 12 bus bays, 425 parking spots, and ultimately we'll be working towards a mobility zone, which will help people who may not be able to ride fixed route without assistance, either by providing them with travel training or assessing them for paratransit service. The key features of the route redesign include the centralized hub. We have some increased frequencies on routes 21 and 22, which have 30-minute frequencies, which means if you miss the bus, you only have to wait 30 minutes for the next one. And then Route 16 will have 30-minute frequencies during peak hours, which is just rush hours. We did have some route extensions on Route 28 that will achieve meeting grocery needs at the Walmart at 29th and Rock. So every Walmart in the city is served by Wichita Transit, and it also can bring students from Wichita State to KU to downtown. And we are piloting a crosstown route in South Wichita, which is Route 203, which will travel east and west on Pawnee. We have some midterm and long-range goals that weren't quite achieved with this redesign, mostly because of budget constraints, but we will continue to review the future of downtown transportation, system-wide frequencies, and service hours. This chart shows you ridership by route. Routes 21 and 22 are the highest ridership routes. And then we're seeing some changes and trends already with the move to the hub. But the routes 21 and 22 are important to mention because it's kind of, you feed what grows. They already had high ridership, so they got the frequency improvements, and now we're seeing higher ridership. And by adding that to Route 16, we can also experiment to see if that same method works down south. This is ridership over time. You'll see we have a dip in the summer. That's due to school being out of session. We work with USD 259 to transport about 800 high schoolers each year. And then we also partner with Wichita State so that all WSU students can ride for free. But you'll see that natural summer decline due to school being out of session. That red line is where we are so far. We're right in the middle. We're hoping that in the end of the year, we'll recover some ridership that we will anticipate losing due to the transition to the hub. And this is the redesigned route system that we're operating today. You can see that we have pretty good coverage. What you have to do when you're playing a zero-sum game is sacrifice something. We sacrifice frequency in most cases. So most of these routes only run once an hour, but we are able to reach most parts of the city, including the outskirts. And that is the end of my presentation. Happy to answer any questions.
The hub, are you guys using the Park Mobile app there for the parking spots as well?
We are.
Thank you, Penny.
Thank you, Chad.
Thank you, Penny. Appreciate it. Okay. Safe routes to school. Oh, excuse me, behavior safety tool. Yeah. You got both of them, so roll.
Okay, exciting. So I wanted to just give you an update on the behavioral safety toolkit that we've been working on. As you know, this is a toolkit. We have gathered a committee from all the jurisdictions surrounding, and we have been putting together strategies that residents, different civic groups, different organizations, governments can put into play to get residents more engaged in roadway safety and taking a part and understanding that they have a role in traffic safety. So the committee has been working hard. We are on track, I think, for a late summer publication. This is a draft look at the cover that the committee is working on. As I mentioned, we have government staff from many jurisdictions. We have advocacy organizations, KDOT, and others that have been helping put together different strategies and ways that, as we've mentioned, people can help spread the message of traffic safety and transportation safety, but also then engage people further. So very excited to share it. The toolkit will also, of course, have local crash data and information in order to help educate residents and organizations as well. In addition to the toolkit, we'll also have a website of resources that individuals can find to help engage. So like I mentioned, we plan to have this published probably July, August of this summer so that we can get it out in time for all the fall festivals when we're out at your communities and working and engaging with the public. So we will be sharing this with you very shortly, but excited to be making some good progress on this. Any questions on the toolkit? I know you're excited to get yours. Okay, safe routes to schools. I do have a couple of updates as well. We have been working with the consultants and getting the reports completed. So as you know, we're continuing to work with the schools throughout the region. We really have really great distribution throughout the WAMPO region with the schools that are participating, including 4 of our private schools. We are still recruiting to get those last few schools that might be interested in participating before this project is complete at the end of December. So in page 15 of your packet, we put together just a one-pager. We've been talking about the existing conditions reports now for a couple months and just wanted to give you kind of a one-pager to show you what you can expect in those reports. I know also I want to say thank you to many of you who have been reviewing the 57 plus draft reports and conditions information. So in the one pager, you kind of see the data that has been collected. As you can see, there is quite an extensive amount of data that has been collected around these schools, including over 2,500 parent survey responses where they dropped pins on maps to highlight where they think issues are and safety concerns. So that was really helpful, beneficial information from the community to also inform these upcoming recommendations. In the existing conditions report, you'll see that it includes, maps of all the infrastructure so that we can identify where those gaps or improvements are needed. It also includes crash history, road speeds, and other data that might be beneficial, especially to the schools. I know all of you have this data in your mind and think about it every night. But for schools, having it all in one spot so that they can apply for funding and grants is really important. Then there's a couple examples on the one pager that I included. There's a site circulation map that really looks at the traffic flow around schools. There's issues and concerns maps of all that survey data that we got, and then travel mode breakdown for the students. So those existing conditions reports, they've been a long time coming, it feels like, but there's a lot of data and input that has been going into them to then inform the next step. So we are getting the existing condition report drafts done, and we're putting them up on the website that you can see. You'll be able to review them. I'll make sure to send you an email when those are updated for your jurisdiction. Then in August, we're going to be setting those recommendation meetings with you and with school administration to really look at, okay, here's what the existing conditions report identifies. Now, what are the recommendations that we want to include in this official report? So those will be happening once school gets started. We'll also start the data collection for any new schools that come on board. So again, if you have any schools that are interested, this is a great opportunity for them to get involved. Then we will finalize those reports and hopefully be bringing those to you sometime around the fall for you to look at before final adoption. And we're also creating then the best practices guide that will then continue. It can be shared with schools or jurisdictions, but also our staff will be using it to assist any new schools that are interested after this project. Chad has had the vision, TPP has had the vision that safe routes to schools is a priority that we want to offer to all of our schools in the region. So just because not every school got involved in this first part of the project, we want to continue this work. So staff are being trained now to lead this on our own. So that's kind of where we stand with Safe Routes to Schools. Any questions on next steps or those reports? Again, thank you so much. I know a lot of you have put work in reviewing those maps and issues for us. So appreciate it.
Appreciate your work on this. Thank you. Okay, any other business before the board? If not, we stand adjourned. Thank you.